everybody, it's crabedh here, and today we have an extremely good, extremely fun Moritte of the Frost Ooze Tribal EDH deck text. Let's get into it. Moritte of the Frost is a 2-green, blue legendary snow creature, the first one we've had in Magic, and it is changeling, meaning it is every single creature type imaginable. And we may have it enter the battlefield as a copy of any permanent we control, except if it's still snow. And if it's a creature, it enters the battlefield with 2+1/+1 counters on it and still has changeling. So this deck is great as an Ooze Tribal commander because it is the main colors of Ooze, and also it's a changeling, meaning it is an Ooze itself. And also there's +1/+1 counters, which is what Ooze is like. So yeah. However, there is the real way we win is with Moritte's second ability, which is part of a combo, which I will get into later. So first off, we've got a ramp, which starting off with Soul Ring, which costs 1 and taps for 2 colorless. Sakura Tribalder, which we can sacrifice to search our library for basic and put it into play tapped. Rampant Growth searches our library for basic and puts it into play tapped. And Farseek, which searches our library for a plains, island, swamp, or mountain and puts it into play tapped. Mindstone taps for colorless, and we can pay 1 and sacrifice it to draw a card. Moss Diamond enters tapped and taps for green. Simic Signet, we can pay 1 and tap it to add green and blue. And Sky Diamond, which enters tapped and taps for a blue. Then this is the combo. So we need any creature with Persist, such as Trapjaw Kelpie. And so basically what Persist is, it says, when this creature is put into a graveyard from play, if it had no -1/-1 counters on it, return it to play under its owner's control with a -1/-1 counter on it. So what we want to do is we want to have Moritte of the Frost enter the battlefield as a copy of Trapjaw Kelpie. Except it has 2+1/+1 counters on it. And then we want to sacrifice it to Altar of Dementia, which says, sacrifice a creature to have target player put a number of cards equal to the sacrificed creature's power into their graveyard. So we're milling one of our opponents equal to the power of this creature we sacrificed. So what we want to do is we want to have Moritte of the Frost enter the battlefield as a copy of Trapjaw Kelpie with 2+1/+1 counters on it. Sacrifice it to Altar of Dementia. Then it gets returned because it persists. But Moritte also, again, enters the battlefield with 2+1/+1 counters again. And the -1/-1 counter that is from persist cancels out with the +1/+1 counter on Moritte. Meaning there's no more -1/-1 counter on Moritte. So we can sacrifice it to Altar of Dementia again, and Persist will still trigger, because Moritte doesn't have a -1/-1 counter, because the +1/+1 counter canceled it out. See what I mean? Normally, when we sacrifice a Persist creature, it returns with a -1/-1 counter, and then when it dies again, it won't return because it has a -1/-1 counter on it. But that's not the case with Moritte, because Moritte enters with counters, so they cancel out the -1/-1 counter. Pretty cool. So we can infinitely sacrifice Moritte, and it infinitely comes back, and Altar of Dementia will infinitely mill our opponents. Pretty awesome. Then we got some combo alternatives for Persist. We've got Glen Archmage, which is a 4-mana 2/2 with flying, and we can pay a blue and sacrifice it to counter target non-creature spell, and it has Persist. Grazing Kelpie, we can pay a Simic and sacrifice it to to put target card in a graveyard on the bottom of its owner's library, and it has Persist. Airy Oafs, we can sacrifice it to deal damage equal to its power to target creature with flying, and it has Persist. River Kelpie, when it or another permanent enters the battlefield from a graveyard, draw a card, and it has Persist. So actually, if Moritte enters the battlefield as a copy of River Kelpie, we'll also be drawing infinite cards. Pretty awesome. And Woodfall Primus, when it enters, we destroy target non-creature permanent, and it has Persist, so we'll just destroy all of our opponent's non-creature spells, which we'll still want to do even if we don't have all of our pieces to completely win the game. Pretty much destroying our opponent's lands would be good enough. Combo alternatives for Moritte, we've got Spark Double, which enters the battlefield as a copy of any creature or planeswalker, except it enters the battlefield with an additional +1/+1 counter on it. So, if it enters with a +1/+1 counter on it, that's the only thing that matters, because that can cancel out the -1/-1 counter. And we have Metallic Mimic, which when it enters, we choose a creature type, and it is the chosen type in addition to its other types, and each other creature you control of the chosen type enters the battlefield with an additional +1/+1 counter on it. So we can, when Metallic Mimic enters, we can choose a creature type of a persist creature we have. So that persist creature is of the chosen creature type, meaning it will enter with an additional +1/+1 counter on it. So when we sacrifice it, it enters with a -1/-1 counter, but Metallic Mimic says it enters with a +1/+1 counter, and those cancel each other out. So again, we can keep on sacrificing it in an infinite loop, so we don't even need Moritte for that. And then we have some combo alternatives for Altar of Dementia, which is, first off, with Blasting Station, which we can tap it and sacrifice a creature to have Blasting Station deal 1 damage to target creature or player, and whenever a creature comes into play, we can untap Blasting Station. So what we can do is we can play Moritte, enter the battlefield with 2 +1/+1 counters on it, sack it with Blasting Station, deal 1 damage, and when more comes back, we untap Blasting Station, so we can keep on tapping it, sacrificing Moritte, dealing 1 damage, more comes back, untap Blasting Station, tap it again, sacrifice Moritte, deal 1 damage to any target. When Moritte comes back, we untap Blasting Station infinitely until we destroy all of our opponent's life. Ashnod's Altar, we can sacrifice a creature to add 2 mana of any 2 colorless mana to our mana pool. Then we got Greater Good, which says you can sacrifice a creature to draw cards equal to the sacrificed creature's power, then discard 3 cards. Phyrexian Altar, we can sacrifice a creature to add 1 mana of any color. So both Ashnod's Altar and Phyrexian Altar can give us infinite mana with the combo. And the most important things about these are their sacrifice outlets, because we can completely keep on sacrificing them. Again, with Spawning Pit, which is another sacrifice outlet. And then we can keep on sacrificing them to abuse other triggers, like Essence Warden, which says whenever another creature comes into play, gain 1 life, so we can get infinite life. Altar of the Brood, whenever another permanent enters the battlefield under your control, each opponent puts the top card of his or her library into their graveyard. And then we have Genesis Chamber, which says whenever a non-token creature enters battlefield, if Genesis Chamber is untapped, that creature's controller gets a 1/1 colorless mirror creature token. So we can, when Moritte enters the battlefield infinitely, Genesis Chamber will trigger infinitely. And then we have the most synergistic, most incredible card ever in this deck, Gutter Grime. 4 green, whenever a non-token creature you control dies, Moritte, put a slime counter on Gutter Grime, and then put a green Ooze creature token onto the battlefield, which says this creature's power and toughness are equal to the number of slime counters on Gutter Grime. So not only is this a piece of our combo that can get us infinite creatures and infinite Ooze it's also Ooze Tribal. It's the best. It literally is the most incredibly synergistic card I could ever think of ever. It's awesome because whenever we sacrifice Moritte, Gutter Grime gets a slime counter, and then we get a green Ooze creature token that says this creature's power and toughness are each equal to the number of slime counters on Gutter Grime. So we get infinite creatures, and each of those creatures are infinite/infinite. Really, really awesome. And they're Oozes! I can't get over that fact. It's awesome. Then we've got our Oozes to distract our opponents from the fact that we have a very good infinite combo hidden in our deck. And we've got Experiment 1, which has evolved, and we can remove 2 +1/+1 counters on it to regenerate it. 1 Vuli Ooze, I love this art. It's a 1 mana Ooze, and I love the art. It's a giant green blob in the forest with a bunch of monkeys. It may not be a good card, but the art is all that matters. Corrosive Ooze, when it blocks or becomes blocked by an equipped creature, destroy all equipment attached to that creature at end of combat, and it's a nice Ooze. Scavenging Ooze, we can pay a green to exile target card from a graveyard. If it's a creature, we put a +1/+1 counter into Scavenging Ooze, and we gain a life. Pretty nice. Manaplasm, whenever we cast a spell, put a Manaplasm gets +X/+X until end of turn, where X is that card's CMC. Adaptive Automaton, when it enters, we choose Ooze. Adaptive Automaton is Ooze in addition to its other types, and other Oozes you control get +1/+1. Inexorable Blob, when Inexorable Blob attacks, if there are 4 or more card types among cards in your graveyard, put a 3/3 green Ooze tapped and attacking. Pretty nice. Oran Refuse, when it enters, we put a +1/+1 counter on target creature you control, and when Oran Refuse attacks, put a +1/+1 counter on each attacking creature with a +1/+1 counter on it. Then we got Predator Ooze, which is triple green for a 1/1 with Indestructible, and when it attacks, we put a +1/+1 counter on it. And whenever a creature dealt damage by Predator Ooze this turn dies, put a +1/+1 counter on Predator Ooze, so it's a nice little Ooze Indestructible awesomeness. Ravenous Slime. It can be blocked by creatures with power 2 or less, and if a creature an opponent controls would die, instead exile it and put a number of +1/+1 counters equal to that creature's power on Ravenous Slime. Pretty nice. Bio-Waste Blob. Oozes you control get +1/+1, and at the beginning of your upkeep, if you control a commander, create a copy of Bio-Waste Blob. Yes! Ooze Tribal all the way! Acidic Slime. When it enters, we destroy an artifact, enchantment, or land. Pretty awesome. And then we have Biogenic Ooze, another Ooze Tribal card. Awesome! When Biogenic Ooze enters the battlefield, create a 2/2 green Ooze creature token, and at the beginning of your end step, put a +1/+1 counter on each Ooze you control, and we can pay 1 green to create a 2/2 green Ooze creature token. Gobbling Ooze, we can pay a green and sacrifice another creature to put a +1/+1 counter on Gobbling Ooze. Pretty nice. Mitotic Slime. Whenever Mitotic Slime dies, put two green Ooze creature tokens onto the battlefield, and they have, when this creature dies, put 2 1/1 green Ooze creature tokens onto the battlefield. Pretty nice. Gets a lot of tokens. Splitting Slime. When it becomes monstrous, put a token onto the battlefield that's a copy of Splitting Slime. It's not monstrous. And then we have Consecrated Sphinx, which is a ridiculous card draw engine, which says whenever an opponent draws a card, we may draw 2 cards. So many cards can be drawn with this card. Experiment Crash. Experiment Crash has all activated abilities of each other creature you control with a +1/+1 counter on it, and we can tap it and put a +1/+1 counter on target creature. Ancient Ooze, its power and toughness are each equal to the total CMC of other creatures you control. We got some spells, which is with XX green Gelatinous Genesis, which creates XX green Ooze creature tokens. Slime Molding, X and a green, we create an XX green Ooze creature token. Worldly Tutor, which can search our library for a creature card and puts it onto the top of our library, so we can search our library for a persist creature. Or Essence Warden, if we are missing that from our combo. Mind Spring, we can draw X cards if we pay X blue. Pretty nice. We can dump a bunch of mana into that and draw a bunch of cards. Shared Summons. Search your library for up to 2 different creature cards with different names. Reveal them, put them into your hand, and then shuffle your library. Another tutor where if we are missing one of our pieces, we can put it into our hand. Miming Slime. Put an XX green Ooze creature token onto the battlefield, where X is the greatest power among creatures you control. Pretty cool. Harmonize. 2 green, draw 3 cards. Mystic Genesis. 2 green, to counter target spell and create an XX green Ooze creature token where X is that spell's CMC. Really fun card, I love it. Then we got some artifacts with Herald's Horn. When it enters, we choose a creature type. Those cost 1 less to cast. And at the beginning of your upkeep, look at the top card of your library. If it's a creature card, we may reveal it and put it into our hand. Icon of Ancestry. When it enters, we choose a creature type. Creatures of the chosen type get +1/+1, and we can pay 3. And look at the top 3 of our cards of our library, and we can reveal a creature card from among them of the chosen type and put it into our hand. Cauldron of Souls, choose any number of target creatures. Each of those creatures gains persist until end of turn. So we have only creatures that if we have creatures that need persist, then we can use Cauldron of Souls. Coat of Arms, each creature gets +1 for each other creature on the battlefield that shares at least 1 creature type with it. So this can make our Oozes huge. Then we have Vanquishers Banner, which says as it enters the battlefield, choose a creature type, and creatures you control of the chosen type get +1/+1. And whenever we cast a creature spell of the chosen type, draw a card. So all of our Oozes will get +1/+1. And whenever we cast an Ooze, we draw a card. Pretty nice. Then we got some enchantments. I already said Greater Good. Ooze Flux, which we can pay 1 in the green to remove 1 or more +1/+1 counters up from it to create an XX green Ooze creature token, where X is the number of +1/+1 counters removed this way. Pretty awesome. Mind Unbound. At the beginning of your upkeep, put a lore counter on Mind Unbound and then draw a card for each lore counter on Mind Unbound. So over time, this can be drawing us so many cards each turn, and this can draw us into our combo pieces. And then for the mana base, we have Breeding Pool, which when it enters, we can pay 2 life. If we do, it enters untapped. Flooded Grove, which we can pay Simic and tap it to add green, blue, or blue. Hinterland Harbor and enters tapped unless we control a forest or an island, and it taps for either of our colors. Temple of Mystery enters tapped, and when it enters, we scry 1. Waterloved Globe, we can pay 1 and life and add green or blue, and we can pay 1 and sack it to draw a card. And then we're running 19 forests and 13 islands. And then don't forget to subscribe, like, share, comment, and I will see you next time.